There doesn't look like there's much wrong with this foot, but yet I've still put a block on it. She had some small cracks right here, and they're really hard to hide from. When it comes to that foot though, I've got a feeling things are gonna get a whole lot more graphic. This is the Hoof GP, and what I think is probably a sole ulcer.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
We don't have a hose that reaches this part of the farm, so we'll just wipe it off with some water with iodine in it from our bucket. You would think that every farm had a hose really handy for the crush, but it's not always the case. So sometimes we just have to make the best of what we've got. Right. I can see layer upon layer upon layer on this cow's foot. And because she's got so much extra pressure on that foot, because the extra height, so extra height means she's walking on it more than the other one because it's the lower foot down, because it's lower down, so all of the weight is going through this outer claw, when really it should be spread between the two claws evenly. Grab a nozzle to separate the feet. That just helps us really isolate the feet that we want to work on. This one here isn't really overgrown, but it is undulating. It's slightly long, so we'll reduce the length of that slightly, flatten off the toe area so it's nicely balanced, and then basically try to replicate that on this foot. You can see as I grind away on this inner claw that I'm being really careful. I don't want to remove very much material, so I need to be as careful as I possibly can with the grinder. But when it comes to this outer overgrown claw, I can really go to town. There is much more material to be removed. There's length to be removed and height. And with the bulk of the material removed, now we can use the knife for the finer details. Carve right into there, and we're going to reveal all these multiple areas really quickly. Oh, bye nozzle. Now we do need to model out this inner claw, so we'll do that before we continue more with the outer one. This just really helps the slurry be dispersed up in between the claws. So this part of the foot is the sole area, obviously, and this is the outer wall horn. All of the cow's weight is actually being carried by this outer wall horn, so we could remove a huge portion of this sole if we wanted, because it's not there to carry her weight. Right, that's looking pretty nice. Right, remove this. Stinks. So there is going to be layer upon layer upon layer here, but that is at the heel, so down here towards the toe area, we're not really sure what's going on underneath this layer of hoof horn. I don't know, that needs to come away. Look. You see how sharp the knife looks up here, like that, and then as soon as you cut wall horn, it looks like it's blunt. That crack is no use there though. It's gonna need to come away. Just gently though, tease it out and reduce this wall horn as well. Should have done that with the grinder probably, but I didn't want to go too far. Now we can start to see these layers. I'm not sure if this is going to be as bad as I first thought, although there is a hole starting to appear. Start going up the way now instead. So funny, like after the fact. So in other words, once you've removed the hoof horn, you know that you could have taken huge chunks, but at this stage in the trim you just don't know what's underneath, because right now that should be impossible for me to cut this away, but it's not, because it is underrun, undermined. It is not good. It's separated. There's actually a little bit more to come off the toe area there. Still full of yucky slurry coming out there. these little pieces out from in between what's broken. Delicate work. Getting there though. Look at this. Looking fairly good. Just a bit more of this wall horn to come away. Lovely. So obviously you now know what happens. I flatten off this inner claw so that Craig can apply the block, and this glue has every chance of sticking before filling the entire area with this green spray, which is a copper and zinc compound which will sink in and get rid of that digital dermatitis. And then Craigie boy in the background wraps it up with salicylic acid, just to make entirely certain this cow has every chance of recovering fully. This foot doesn't really have much wrong with it, but we needed to put this block on to ensure that this little problem here didn't materialise into a much greater problem like exists on her other foot. Clearly we did need to intervene with this one though, because without help there's no way she would get over that. Right, let's see how she's walking with 2 blocks on. After a bit of a messy dismount, leaving the crush, she hesitates. So I walk behind her to encourage her to move so that we can all see her walk. At first she's unsure of her steps, but as her strides begin to lengthen, you can see she's starting to understand that the block is really helping relieve her pain. And there you have it, a cow with a pretty major problem on one claw, slightly mirrored on the opposite claw. As is often the case, whenever you have a problem on one claw, a cow is using her other claw to relieve pressure from the sore one, so she starts to go wrong there. And that's exactly what happened in her case. Thanks for watching if you've made it this far. Bye bye. I just spat, did you see it? Ooh.